Hey guys, so as you guys can see from the title of this video is going to be a video where I will make some predictions about the Spectre's Arcana. So without further ado, let's begin. So we voted for the Spectre Arcana last year, but a lot of time has passed and we are still waiting for the Spectre Arcana to be released. It almost feels like it's never going to be released, but don't worry, I think I know when it will be released, and it's much closer than you think. Okay, recently Valve announced that there won't be a battle pass this year, but instead there will be two events in its place. One of them is in June and the other one is set to arrive after TI-10, so basically around the end of August. And I think the event that is coming out this June will bring the Spectre's Arcana with it. But why do I say this? Well, to explain this, we have to talk about Sir Action Slack's Lorgasm video called Phantoms and Daggers. And that video basically proves that Spectre is the future self of PA after she took the contract from Oracle, where PA slowly lost herself in the process of taking down the targets that Oracle instructed her to kill until she finally becomes the Spectre. I'm sure you guys already watched Sir Action Slack's Lorgasm videos, but if you guys haven't, you really have to check them out. Anyways, I personally think that Sir Action Slacks was right about his theory, because even back in Dora 1, Spectre's model was basically the ghost-like version of PA's model, and most of the information that supports this theory comes from the Dota 2 comic named The Contract. And this comic came with the Nemesis Assassin event, where they released Oracle as a new hero and they also released the Arcana for PA. So what if this new event in June is the continuation of that Nemesis Assassin event, where we see the transition of PA turning into Spectre? I mean, it makes perfect sense, because we know that PA started out like this, then after taking the contract and wielding the manifold paradox blades, she slowly starts to fade away. But then all of a sudden she turns from this to this. What if Spectre's Arcana comes in between and bridges the gap between these two forms? I mean, although most Arcanas show how the hero will look like in the future, there are some Arcanas that shows the hero's past self too. An example of such an Arcana is Wraith King's Arcana, where his past self, the Skeleton King, is his Arcana. So what if Spectre's Arcana is the same? And if you look at Spectre's lore, it states that this is not her true form, and she is just a physical manifestation, which could refer to the fact that PA completely faded away with her Arcana form and then got reassembled into Spectre later on. And I think this is the reason why Spectre can no longer remember that she is the Phantom Assassin, because her lore also states that she is stricken by a loss of self, but despite this, she is drawn into the physical world. Maybe a part of her still wants to find her former self, which is PA. Plus, you can see that Spectre seems to have reassembled herself to resemble her past self as PA. Well, at least in the way she remembers, because Spectre seems to treat PA's armor as part of her form, because you can see that the Spectre's head shape consists of PA's ponytail and the features of PA's helmet, like the parts shown here. And you can also see that the shoulder spikes in PA's armor has 3 spikes, which is also present in Spectre's form. However, Spectre's lower body is different from PA. This could be because in PA's Arcana form, it shows that she started fading away from her legs. So basically, Spectre finds it hard to remember the parts of her body that faded away first. All this would explain why Spectre basically fades away when she dies, because now she doesn't have a physical form. So I think Spectre's Arcana will finally show us her true form, which we know is PA, right before she transforms into the Spectre, and finally give us the lore behind what actually happened to PA when she turned into Spectre. Maybe this Arcana will come with a bunch of voice lines that are clearer and easier to understand, because again, this Arcana is leaning more towards PA, so I think the Arcana Spectre's voice will not be distorted as the regular Spectre's voice. And since I think that this event in June is going to be similar to the Nemesis Assassin event, we can also expect a comic to come along with Spectre's Arcana that will give us a clear picture of what actually happened after the Nemesis Assassin event. Okay, with all of this in mind, let's speculate what her Arcana will be like. Let's start with what cosmetic slot will the Arcana use. I think it will be either the head slot or the miscellaneous slot. The reason why I say this is because her shoulder slot and the weapon slot already have immortal items, so these slots are less likely to be overridden by an Arcana, and a belt slot is never used in an Arcana. So let's explore the possibilities and start with the head slot. If her Arcana is in her head slot, I think it will be something similar to PA's immortal helmet. I mean, PA's head is elongated when she wears this immortal, which seems like it's only one step away from being like Spectre's head. So I think the Spectre's Arcana will have the intermediate version of these two head forms. But personally, I think her Arcana will be in the miscellaneous slot. Why do I say this? Well, I think this miscellaneous slot gives the Arcana more freedom to be anything, because it can be anything and isn't limited to just one aspect of Spectre. So I think this Arcana will change the whole form of Spectre to resemble her former self as PA, such as giving her visible legs and making her head similar to PA like I said in the head slot possibility. And since all of these factors make the Spectre Arcana very different from her normal form, I think the Spectre's Arcana will come with a set with multiple pieces just like Zeus's Arcana. This would give the Spectre Arcana the freedom to maybe even give her dual wielding weapons like the Manifold Paradox. And I think these dual weapons will be something like a longer weapon in her usual weapon slot and a shorter version on her offhand belonging to the miscellaneous slot. I say this because according to the Manifold Paradox law, it is said that both of these blades are the same, and one of them is actually the same blade, stolen from moments before in the timeline, and somehow these two blades exist together. Hence the paradox. So I think the blade that was stolen from the past is the one that will be shorter in this case, because we can say it's sort of fading away from existence because of its paradoxical existence. This leads me to believe that maybe this is the reason why PA completely faded away and got reassembled as Spectre, because she was wielding these paradoxical blades for too long. So I think one of the Manifold Paradox blades completely faded out of existence, while the other one dematerialized together with PA and got reassembled again with Spectre. This would explain why Spectre has only one blade, because this is what is left of the original Manifold Paradox blade after most of its physical parts were eroded away and has been distorted in such a way that only the pure essence of the blade now exists in a plasma-like form. Okay, with all that out of the way, let's talk about the in-game related facts about the Arcana. Since I think this Arcana is tied to the event that is coming up this June, I think her Arcana will have multiple forms because there's a mention of a quest for Spectre in the game files. So maybe this is the quest that allows her to unlock these alternate styles for this Arcana, just like how PS Arcana had quests in the original Nemesis Assassin event. So I think it's going to be something like the number of kills during her haunt duration. So this means her Arcana will have multiple forms just like PS Arcana. And I think these forms will have different color schemes, starting from Spectre's usual purple seen in the immortal items, because they literally emphasize the color purple a lot when they talked about the creation of the Spectre's Arcana. And I think the alternate styles of this Arcana will probably have a color scheme of a bluish silver tone like seen in the PS Arcana, which further bridges the gap between these two heroes. And as for spell effects, I think the Arcana will give a custom animation to all of her abilities, much like the Manifold Paradox. Since Spectral Dagger already have a custom effect from her Immortal, I think the Arcana will give an alternate cast animation, with a particle effect on cast and while she is using the phased movement in Shadow Path. Desolate and Dispersion will also get more vivid versions of their spell effects because their normal effects are barely visible, especially her dispersion. And I think her haunt animation will have some sort of glitching phasing effect when she uses reality, similar to the glitching movement that PA has with her Arcana. And that concludes all the predictions I have for Spectre's Arcana. Before I end this video, I would love to talk about something interesting that will prove that Spectre is definitely PA even before the Arcana is released. Because as I was researching for this video, I found out that the all spell icon for False Promise actually had the silhouette of the Dota 1 Spectre. This is a clear sign that they meant to have this connection from the get-go, because we know for a fact that PA became Spectre all thanks to Oracle's False Promise. I actually had a bigger and more detailed prediction about Spectre's Arcana, but since this event is said to come out this June, I thought it's better to get at least part of that prediction out than nothing at all. Plus, I'm sure when the Arcana is released, we will get all the answers for our questions anyways, like confirming whether PA is actual Spectre. So I'm thinking of just analyzing the Arcana when it arrives, because I think this Arcana will spark some interesting theories when it is released. But anyways guys, that's it for this video. But I want to know the predictions that you guys have for Spectre's Arcana. So leave them in the comments below because I'm curious to know what you guys may have found that I may have missed. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and with that said, don't forget to like, share and subscribe and turn on notifications for more videos like this. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next video.